I'm going to talk to you about one of the things that I think this isn't systemized. You know, this isn't like the Fortress mental health stuff where I can just tell you, okay, do this, this, and this, and everything's going to be okay. It's not like that. This is more of a broad philosophical outlook to help you to move in a certain direction. And the direction that we're looking to move in is out of codependency. Now, I've never really done much about this because I don't want to be telling you to do stuff that I haven't actually dealt with myself. And so one of the reasons for avoiding this subject is like, well, I still feel like I have major issues of codependency. But I was asked the other night in coaching, what have you done that's helped you? So rather than being like more rigid, dogmatic advice, like do this, and then do this, and you'll get results. This is like, it seems to be, if you kind of move in this direction, then what seems to happen is the following. So codependency, much like, so we're talking codependent as in being prey. Narcissistic personality disorder is, of course, codependency, but they're showing up as predator, I can't spell. It's very, very much others focused. Yeah, that's right. It's very, very much others focused. So both of these are completely obsessed with others. To a degree, you could say the NPD predator is obsessed with others' perceptions and controlling those perceptions. And the codependent prey narrative becomes more obsessed with other people's needs and satiating those needs. Both of them, however, are there for the purpose that says others over there. I have to have the camera this way for Instagram. It won't do the horizontal thing. But as you can see, my board is horizontal. So, I'm in conflict here. So we're very, very similar. Now, one of the things that I wanted to make clear is there isn't an equivalence of culpability. I'm not saying, what I want people to understand is the codependent part of the narcissistic personality disorder, the narcissistic abuse dyad, is kind of symmetrical to a much greater degree than we would like to think, but not in terms of culpability. And this is not saying that one person isn't abusing the other. In fact, what you have is a situation where there is abuse that flows from this side to this side, and then this part of the dyad, I'm saying the word dyad, I know I have an accent, and some people aren't native English speakers, dyad. On this side, where this person is delivering abuse, the prey actually makes it worse by going into a neurotic unwillingness to defend. I'm saying neurotic as in it's born of neurosis, it's not conscious. But this person is refusing to stop the abuse. They don't say no. They don't hand it back. They don't say, that's not mine, don't send me that fucking thing again. They accept it. So in terms of culpability and abuse, I'm not saying it's equal. I'm not saying the codependent prey is abusing the codependent predator just as much, because that's not true. In fact, there's double culpability. There's two people in the dyad who are abusing the codependent prey. There's the predator is doing it, and then the other person who's effectively guilty of abusing the codependent is the codependent themselves. They refuse to say no. They refuse to set boundaries. This is neurotic. They're not refusing consciously. and they refuse to send the abuse back. They absorb it, they take it on, because they are the ultimate scapegoat. So what does the scapegoat do? In the old ancient Jewish tradition, the scapegoat was an absorbent, a tampon of sin. It took the sins of the tribe put their sins into the scapegoat, which was a physical, literal goat, and then they sent it out in the wilderness to die of thirst, exposure, being torn apart by predators. So that's why we don't say no. We're fulfilling our sacrificial role. We're here to be sacrificed again and again and again. Like some sort of, the punishment of a Greek god, or one of these gods that dies and is reborn over and over again, only to receive more suffering. So this develops into a martyrdom complex over time, of course, because this actually becomes the self-identity. So you have two people, both are heaping sin, trouble, psychological poison, blame on one side of the dyad. Whenever blame comes up for the abuser, the codependent steps in and says, no, you don't understand. He had a rough childhood. No, you don't understand. He says those things, but he doesn't mean them. So there's actually standing in front of culpability and blame that rightly comes from other people. When they point out that this person's a dickhead, they go, no, but you don't understand. He's not really like that. She doesn't mean it. She's from another country. She's from another culture. She says crazy things. So how do we break out of this modality of being? Both the codependent and the NPD are focused on others. The NPD is focused on controlling the perceptions of others to either inspire fear or adoration, to harvest as much narcissistic supply as possible. The codependent prey is focused on others, but they're focused on others' needs. The perpetual scapegoat is completely obsessed with detecting the needs of others and satiating those needs before they even know they have a need themselves. The NPD neurotically believes this is their only hope for survival. Total dominance, total predation, total abuse. The codependent prey believes this is their only means of survival. Total submission, total satiation, and trying to please everybody all of the time in a totally unboundaried way through overgiving. So we could say, even though NPD is identified rightly by Pete Walker as a fight-fawn response, if you wanted to keep it simple, you could say it's the ultimate fight response. This is always an attack. Even their charm is a charm offensive. Even their lovingness is described as love bombing because it's aggressive. It's an assault. It comes from a desire to, in a militaristic sense, generate shock and awe, generate impact. On the other side of the coin, so you say this is total fight. And then on the other side, this is total fawn. The fawniest fawn that ever fawned is on this side. So how are we gonna, if you've lived your whole life that way, how are you going to break free of that pattern? Well, if we identify a couple of the things that are wrong here, or not working here, we could suggest the opposite as solutions, right? Alyssa says, can a codependent also be a covert NPD? All NPDs are codependent. It's a codependent state. I here am guilty of using this false dichotomy of saying codependent versus NPD, which is how we talk about it. But strictly speaking, technically, the NPD is as codependent as anybody else in this dyad. And it is a dyad, folks. There's two people leaning in. It's two people leaning in. It's not the codependent prey wants to pretend they're being chased by a predator. They're not really being chased by a predator. We're not really being chased. we're showing up again and again to be eaten. And then going, oh, the tiger got me in the same way that he got me yesterday when I went to where he lived and put my fucking face in his mouth. You know, there's much more of that going on. So it's a dyad. It fits hand in glove. The predator side of it wants to totally dominate the prey, and the prey wants to totally submit. So they meet each other and they're like, we can totally fulfill each other's needs. This is wonderful. Probably why there's so much euphoria, or one of the elements of euphoria in the beginning is it's like wonderful. I've found somebody who can actually do the thing that I'm unconsciously imprinted for them to do. I feel like this person is my soulmate at this point. So if the codependent prey, fawn responder, echo, some people say, yeah, narcissist, echo, is focused rigidly all the time on others, one thing we could suggest is to bring the prey personality type away from others and back to the self. There may be various exercises or techniques or philosophies we could develop that would allow them to become more self-focused. If they're rigidly and neurotically focused on the needs of others being satiating, we could lead them back and say, well, how can you be self-satiating? Can we negotiate? Because obviously you can't just switch it on and off overnight. That's not going to work. But can we negotiate with the unconscious so that whilst it's still satiating the needs of others neurotically, sometimes some space is given to the self so that we can satiate the codependent prey needs as well a little bit too. If we are the ultimate prey, do we flip and want to become the ultimate predator? No. These are both roles born of trauma. This is black and white thinking. This is a dichotomy. And nothing in the real world is a dichotomy. Only a child reduces the world to these simple dichotomous models. It's called splitting. It's called catastrophic thinking. It's called black and white thinking. And it's all born of trauma. What is this saying? It's saying, I am so good. I'm the goodest. And what's this one saying over here? I am so evil. I'm the baddest. Evil. Good. Both is shit. It's garbage. Like, you're not that good. Maybe one of the things that we could say to a codependent is to look and say, hey, you know this victimhood narrative you've got going that makes you so good? Why don't we talk about the ways in actually you are not good? Can we explore the ways in which this mode of being hurts you and hurts the people around you? And if we can we start to wean you off this way of getting things done? You don't want to be an ultimate prey. You don't want to be an ultimate predator. You've got to break out of this towards a new model, which is one of being a balanced adult who is showing up for themselves. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions about anything I just said, please write them in the comment section. Make them one sentence long.